Never think you're superior, kiddies. Tonight, a space traveler learns the hard way that prejudice is a cosmic sin. Bill Gaines fought tooth and nail to bring this tale to light against censors who couldn't handle the truth. It's thousands of years in the future. A man in a bright red spacesuit climbs down from his gleaming spaceship and steps foot onto a foreign ground. Welcome, welcome, Earthman, a crowd cheers as he's greeted by a mass of orange and blue robots on this planet called Sibirina. Years before, humans placed a small handful of robots on this planet to see how they would develop and survive. This Earthman named Tarleton has now arrived to inspect and decide whether or not the society has fostered it ready to integrate it into Earth's human civilization. One of the orange robots takes Tarleton on a lengthy tour through the city in an attempt to showcase the development and success of Sabrinia's robot population. Speeding through the gleaming Capitol buildings, Tarleton becomes impressed. Not only have the robots mastered innovative engineering, but they have also developed a democratic government. It's not until the ardent orange robot invites the Earthman to inspect the assembly plant, where the planet's robot population is created, that he notices a peculiarity. I see only orange workers. What about the blue robots? Tarleton inquires. The confused orange robot responds by explaining that the only orange robots are created here. The blue robots are assembled in their own plant on the other side of town. Hiding his concern, Tarleton dismisses the subject and the tour of the assembly plant continues. As his guide concludes his explanation of the creation process and they exit the building, Tarleton asks his companion where the blue plant is located and to take him there immediately. It is in Blue Town, on the south side of the city, the robot replies, and he suggests that they take a bus. They arrive at a bus stop, clearly separated in a blue section and an orange section, and Tarleton asks his companion whether the robots in Sabrina differentiate between blue and orange robots. Of course, the tour guide explains. Otherwise, there'd be trouble. Having to keep them in their place, you know. This statement begins to worry Tarleton, and he begins to notice just how separated the blue and orange robots really are. The bus, for instance, is separated in a clearly labeled orange section in the front and a blue section in the rear. Moreover, the charging station, the human equivalent of a restaurant, just outside the window has a large sign stating orange only. Soon enough, the bus arrives in a much smaller and less shiny section of the city. Blue robots crowd the streets and the buildings appear run down, a sharp contrast from the gleaming square they were just in. Moving through building, both Tarleton and his orange guide see that every step of the blue robot creation process is identical to the orange robot's production. The only difference being a blue shield is attached to the outside instead of orange. The sheathings are only outside coverings, Tarleton explains to the orange machine. The inside structures are no different than yours. Baffled, the orange robot tries to retort that the outer shell does indeed make a difference. The blue robot goes on to explain how in Sabrinian society their blue sheathings cause them to be limited to menial jobs, sent to the back of the bus, forced to go to different recharging stations and live in a special section of the city. In return, the orange robot explains that it is not his fault. The social barriers between the blue and orange robots existed far before he was created, so there's very little he can do about them. Hearing these words, Charlton decides that Sabrina is not yet ready to join the Great Galactic Republic. He storms out of the assembly plant with his orange companion running frantically behind and starts back towards the ship. Why, Tarleton? Why aren't we ready? The bot cries after him. Tarleton explains to him that he and the robots of Sabrina must look inside themselves for the answers to that question. He assures his orange companion that there was also a time like this on Earth where there seemed to be no hope, but once mankind on Earth learned to live together, real progress first began. Tarleton climbed back into his shiny silver spaceship and waved goodbye to the land of Sabrina. Within seconds, his aircraft was soaring into the infinite void of space, and he takes off his space helmet and shakes his head, allows the beads of perspiration on his dark skin to twinkle like distant stars. That twist hit hard, didn't it? Gaines battled the comic code to keep that ending, proving some stories are worth fighting for. Prejudice is a real monster, ghouls. Don't let it color your world. And I just want to finish out this section here that this is a story that basically ended EC Comics in those days. The comic code came along and basically collapsed their publisher, so they weren't able to really keep producing them. But it did result in the creation of Mad Magazine, Bill Gates basically giving a thumb to the whole, you know, comics code authority, who it isn't about children at all. This is what they push. They push the children's it's children's safety, but nowhere in here are children being safe by anything. These stories that were created, they were written, the same stories could be found in actual books themselves in the same libraries that these people are complaining that the stories are in the comics. They're literally, they could have gone to a book and read the same exact story. So their excuses of children's safety just go out the window. The guy who did all this stuff, he created a book that basically lambasted all of these comics and this whole medium as bad for children. And even the people who were creating the comics code, they didn't really buy into half of the shit that he was saying, but it was beneficial to them because, again, this isn't about children's safety. This is about control. They want to be able to tell you what you can and can't do and how you can and can't do it. And that's all it is. And see, here I've gotten a lot of this information is widely known today, but I actually sourced a lot of this stuff from the Censorship Files, which is a web page that you go to that has all this information in it. And I just want to give this little portion here. This story was the plot of the 1953 graphic novel Judgment Day, published by EC Comics and illustrated by Joe Orlando. Although an inspiring story to readers today, this comic was extremely controversial in the 1950s, a time when discrimination of African Americans was still quite prominent. The plot, which scrutinizes segregated society and features a black astronaut, went against many of the popular beliefs at the time and gave the Comics Code Authority the perfect excuse to drive the publisher Bill Gaines out of business. And with that, I want to leave you off with this story, and the next story that'll be coming up will be the one that essentially started with his father, who started with Bible stories. And so we will do Noah's Ark. So join us for that, folks. Like and subscribe.